In ancient Japan, a village boy named Yamato carried a dream bigger than his life to become a samurai. He had no lineage, no teacher, no privilege, only an obsession that burned inside him every time he watched samurai walk past with quiet strength and disciplined eyes. At 16, he picked up a wooden sword and trained alone, copying movements he had seen. Horizontal strikes, vertical strikes, thrusts, hours every day. After 6 months, his body felt stiff, his movements sloppy, nothing improved. A year passed and he remained just a boy with a wooden sword and a failing dream. One afternoon while practicing, he heard a voice behind him saying everything about his posture, feet, and breathing was wrong. A scarred samurai stood there. Yamato felt ashamed and confessed he had trained alone for a year but improved nothing. The samurai told him he hadn't been training, he had been cementing mistakes. Every wrong repetition had taught his body how to fail better. Yamato begged to be taught and the samurai agreed but warned him the first stage would destroy everything he believed about learning. The next dawn training began. The master showed a stance and ordered Yamato to copy it without question. He adjusted Yamato's foot a few centimeters, shifted his hip by a fraction, raised his shoulder slightly, then made him hold the stance for 10 minutes, focusing on breathing, 3 seconds in, 2 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. Yamato's legs trembled and frustration burned inside him, but the master said mastery was built in millimeters, not kilometers. Weeks passed with nothing but posture, breathing, and basic movements repeated 1,000 times. Yamato hated the slowness, but something inside him began to change. The posture that once hurt became natural, the breathing became automatic. Months later, the master demonstrated a horizontal strike and ordered Yamato to repeat it 1,000 times a day. On the 4th day, mid-practice, Yamato suddenly felt the movement execute itself without his mind giving a command. The master said the body had finally absorbed the technique. Most people never reach this stage because they think repetition is for the weak, but real mastery begins when movements sink so deep they no longer require thought. Time passed and Yamato mastered 12 basic techniques so completely that he could perform them in his sleep. He noticed others knew hundreds of techniques yet fought worse because they had knowledge without embodiment. They collected techniques like toys, never mastering any. Yamato's master said knowledge is only the map. Mastery is walking the territory. One day the master brought a second instructor with a totally different style, high posture, explosive attacks, aggressive movement. Everything contradicted Yamato's training. For months his mind malfunctioned switching between both styles, but slowly he began to see the deeper patterns beneath them. The forms differed but the principles were the same. Energy flow, reading the opponent, presence. He started combining techniques instinctively, blocking with one style, countering with the other. His masters saw this and said he had finally begun to break the form wisely, not rebelliously. But they warned him, almost everyone stops here thinking they're already masters. In truth, he was still confined to techniques and variations. True mastery required forgetting everything. His master explained that the highest stage was when the body moved without using techniques at all. Years earlier, the master himself had thought he was unbeatable until an 80-year-old warrior defeated him effortlessly using movements with no recognizable form, like water, shapeless yet perfect for every moment. That old warrior said, "You fight, I only respond." Yamato asked how to reach that level, but the master said it required years of practice and, more importantly, the ability to stop trying. The next 5 years were the most frustrating Yamato had ever lived. He no longer received new techniques, only endless combat against different opponents. At first Yamato still thought consciously about which blocks or counters to use, but gradually the inner dialogue faded. The labels dissolved, movements stopped belonging to styles, his body simply acted. One day, in a fight against 3 opponents, something inside him opened. He had no memory of choosing anything. His body moved, blocked, struck, and pivoted with perfect timing, and when the fight ended he felt calm, not tired. His master told him he had finally stopped fighting, his body had responded without him. He had reached the level where skill and self become one. Years later,